of China's colonization of Tibet, spiritual leader Dalai Lama flees the country and seeks refuge in India.
A number of Tibetans have been revolting against China and communism since March in the city of Lhasa, Tibet's capital. This area has been under China's control since 1951. China claims to be trying to peacefully free Tibet from feudalism and its theocratic government, but due to the lack of cooperation from the country, China felt forced to invade its territory.
However, the Tibetans weren't pleased with the now incorporated socialism, which led to the current Tibet uprising. Fearing capture of the Dalai Lama, unarmed Tibetans surrounded his residence while he fled to India.
To realize how important occupied Tibet is to China, we need to remember that it comprises more than 1/4 of the landmass of China. It is the riverhead of Asia's waters. In addition, central and western Tibet have enormous mineral resources, including one of the Earth's largest uranium deposits. Tens of millions of pounds worth of lumber have also been taken from eastern Tibet. Back in the early 50s, the Tibetans initially cooperated with the Chinese under the 17-point agreement. But when the Chinese government started to break its promises, the Tibetan people resisted, and this led to an uprising and armed conflict. There was little media coverage of this uprising or of the Chinese invasion of Tibet that followed, nor of the subsequent state-sponsored famine. The only details we have were collected from refugees who escaped on foot over the Himalayas.
Up next, an exclusive interview with the Dalai Lama.
Hi, good evening. Today we're here with Dalai Lama. Hello, a religious leader, and he will enlighten us about China's invasion of Tibet in 1950. Well, our first question is, do you consider the absence of allies in your quest for freedom a loophole in the democratic ideology?
Well, I believe that the base for democracy is freedom, and that the base for all religions is tolerance, and that is evidently related. So I believe that when China first invaded Tibet, the countries did not do their part because China is communist, and that is basically to restrict freedom, you know. And as long as China improved Tibet, it was in a certain manner okay for the other countries to allow it. But when the lack of interest increased, it was definitely a loophole in the other countries' policies. And I really do hope this loophole or a similar one can be avoided future times.
Okay, thanks. Our second question is, despite all recent conflicts with China, Your Holiness is always laughing, seeming to enjoy life at its most. Do you consider yourself a happy person?
I do believe in compassion, and I try to view myself and others with a broad perspective, and this way I can be more open-minded and kind. This way I seek to obtain peace of mind, and this is the basic interdependence of the Buddhist religion. I know that newspapers spread malicious stories full of dilemmas and hardships, and I know that people without scruples will try to manipulate those who have faith to seek their goals in their lust and quest for power. But I know that these conflicts are not merely religious. They date of thousands of years ago and also have, normally at least, a base for political power. However, I cannot generalize all these conflicts. But I also believe that we have to give all religions some sort of harmony because they all have the same principles, although their philosophies may vary, but they all want the same thing: love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, and so on.
Nice. And our last question is, how do you feel about having a particular place to spread and practice this whole religion that is so strong inside of you?
We have theocracy as the spinal cord of our government, so we have religion really strong inside of us. Of course, it would be really nice to have my own place to practice, to think, to reflect on my philosophies, but I know that religion is not merely physical, it is inside of us, and as long as I keep this faith strong inside of me, wherever I go, I'll have that inside of me, and I can transmit this to others who are willing to learn new things. And as long as I have faith, this space will never stop existing.
Nice. Okay, thanks for your participation in our program.
My pleasure.
It's our honor to have these wise words from this wise man here. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
So, what do you think they can expect from their future?
I think it's a bit too soon to say, but the Chinese don't seem to be going anywhere. And with a lack of allies, Tibet encounters itself in a very rough position. With the Dalai Lama gone, Tibetans will be missing his strong spiritual leadership, which might cause them to weaken their struggles for independence. Let's hope for the best, but this is something only time will tell. Thank you for watching.
Good night.
With China's invasion of Tibet, our first question is, despite all recent conflicts with China, blah blah blah.
Try to view myself and others in a broad perspective. This way I can be open-minded and kind, and this will attract peace of mind. I know that newspapers tell you malicious stories with dilemmas and hardships, but I know that
Up next, an exclusive interview with Dalai. Up next, an exclusive interview with the Dalai Lama. So, what do you think the Tibetans can expect? Estão de sacanagem.
A gente?
É.
Vai ser no vídeo isso, cara.
Óbvio que não.
Óbvio que sai.
Ah, tá bom. Ai, vocês são
Tá.
chatos.
2, 3.
Isso. Ai, dá pra sair no vídeo.
Vai mesmo.
Vai, mãe. Mãe, não sei, deixa eu terminar de fazer meu trabalho. Ah, tá, você tem chave? Não, eu não levei chave. Tá na minha bolsa, na minha... Porque eu saí com a minha avó e eu achava que minha avó tá cedo. Não, tudo bem. Mãe, quer...
2,
Eu não
3.
posso voltar pra minha casa, eu quero voltar pra minha casa.
Donate. 0. Para a Bárbara voltar para casa dela. Vai. 1, 2, 3 e...
Não, peraí.
Silêncio no estúdio.
Vou passar, não.
Então desliga de novo. Now they're arguing, and now Antonia's butt is...